2024 has been a non-stop toppling tower of various YouTubers. It seems every day there's a new YouTuber revealed to be a pretty terrible person, despite their seemingly squeaky clean background online. And today is no different. Hello, ladies, men, and non-binary friends. Welcome back. Today we're talking about MrBeast. Now, I am not a MrBeast watcher, but I have been aware of the rumblings online and the critiques of him over the years. I feel like it's always met with the same reaction, something along the lines of, well, he gives money to people, he does charity, so he can't be that bad. And there's so many things wrong with that because, like, there are so many horrible people in this world that give to charity to try to give this air about them that they're actually good, but we don't have enough time for that today. He is endlessly glorified by millions of children that watch him online religiously, and yet the human race has continued to prove that the more money you have, the less likely you are to be a decent person. We've seen the same things play out from the likes of David Dobrik, spending money on his friends for the cameras, making buku bucks by monetizing his charity for videos and for views, but also repeatedly putting those same friends in dangerous, uncomfortable, and in some cases life-threatening situations. I will give it to MrBeast though, he didn't endanger his friends, at least not in this most recent scandal. He did this to complete strangers. MrBeast has partnered with Amazon to produce a large-scale game show, and hundreds of people have come forward, talking about the horrifying conditions that they were subjected to whilst a part of this project, including people not being able to access their medication, which they had been previously told that they would have no problem accessing, limited food and water that led to fellow contestants fighting over and even hoarding resources, intense injuries including broken bones that led to spikes in local hospitals that were overwhelmed because safety measures were not in place, and in addition, not having adequate medical staff to cover those injuries on site through the show. Let me say that again. The injuries from this show were in such a high quantity and such severity that they could not be treated on site with the medical staff that MrBeast provided. And because of that, local hospitals experienced what they described as being overwhelmed with patients, all coming from this show. Multiple hospitals. This article was one of the first to talk about this, and they've continued to post updates as new information has come out, which is great. I highly recommend you read the whole thing because this is where a lot of YouTubers that are covering this are getting their information from. Here are some of the updates. July 19th, 2024. In a concerning twist to this story, a source claims Desert Springs Hospital, quote, has seen countless patients today coming from Beast Games due to lack of food and water. We've reached out to MrBeast and his publicist about the situation. No further information is available at this time. July 20th. We heard back from a MrBeast representative who stated MrBeast was working on an upcoming video with 3 medical issues out of 2,000 participants. 2 were medical events unrelated to the games or production, and 1 involved dehydration. There was plenty of water and electrolyte drinks on site and full medical staff. Personnel attended to the people immediately. They were all released shortly after and doing well. The article goes on to say, we've received contradictory reports about the conditions during the production of Beast Games. You don't say. A hospital employee told us, I'm aware of 3 or 4 hospital evacs today. Overnight shift said it was insane, so not sure if or how many hospital evacs there were. The production is a shit show and unprepared for the scale, making decisions as they go along. The bare bones medical staff on site is not adequate and were overwhelmed last night. They compete at night. One contestant reports, contestants were instructed to provide producers with 5 days worth of medications, and as of today, contestants have not received a single dose. They have denied food to diabetics, denied water to contestants, and at least 2 individuals have had seizures as a result. The MrBeast representative says this information is inaccurate. I did read a lot of the contestant accounts. There were some that said that they had 1 dose of medication, but nothing after that. So the MrBeast representative saying that this information is inaccurate is technically correct. Although everybody else that said they got their medication said they only got it once and were not able to get it again. So yeah, this particular statement saying that all of the contestants did not receive a single dose is technically inaccurate because some received 1 dose, but they were still denied medication at various points for this experience, which was wrong. Again, very clever PR language there. One contestant noted production staff hired locally were treated poorly, with some working shifts in excess of 24 hours in a row. We're going to get to that also in a second. Medications such as inhalers, contact lenses, feminine hygiene products were surrendered, which caused concern among the production's medical staff, with some encouraging contestants to hide their meds in their clothes to avoid detection. That's fucking wild. Contestants were asked to give the production team several pairs of undergarments, which were not returned upon disqualification. There were not enough buses to transport the contestants to Allegiant. Contestants were not allowed to leave their hotel rooms. Several were caught in the pool at Rio and were eliminated from the competition. Contestants were also eliminated if they were caught with their production wristbands flipped to show the MrBeast logo. Food consisted of what's described as hideous porridge. Certainly paints a picture. Another contestant says, no medications, no undergarments, despite supplying 5 days. Only, quote, electrolytes were Gatorade handed out on the 2nd day in small batch that ran out quickly and people were fighting over. Hoarding. Ran out of meals for people, water would run out, was completely not a safe space. Many of us knew it would be mentally challenging, but the danger we were put in and lack of care from staff wasn't expected. No clear communication between staff either, making it worse. Questions about the fairness of the competition have also been raised. The 2,000 contestants were divided into groups of 400. Some of the contestants reportedly stacked the deck in their favor by creating teams of mostly young, strong men. The first group, eliminated, was largely older people and women. Update, July 21st. Here's some additional information provided by a member of the Beast Games production team. Can confirm 5 days of medication and undergarments, most of which have been lost and not adequately tracked by production. So this is a member of the Beast Games production. Limited amounts of Gatorade on hand started on Friday. It did run out, but there was water. They did run out of food on Friday. Undergarments were 100% lost because they weren't adequately tracked when surrendered. Personally spoke with a young lady contestant who self-eliminated after about 14 hours because she had to eat and take medication which had been lost. She was crying, but otherwise okay. I'm basically just confirming much of your reporting to say, in my opinion, there was a complete failure of planning on the part of production. And sure, some people are up for it, but I'm an adult and recognize it's not a safe environment. Good luck to eliminated contestants when retrieving their luggage and personal belongings, including phones. Oh my god, if I ever entered a fucking competition and someone lost my goddamn phone. Fury! All that is stored at the Rio in a meeting room without any organization. So think 2 to 3 bags per person times 2,000 and looking for your bag. Needle in a haystack. Oh my god, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. A family member of a contestant claims, on day 1, contestants went over 24 hours without any medication, which led to the seizure of a contestant on the first day. No medical staff was on site and it took about 5 to 8 minutes to arrive to the scene. Contestants had to do crowd control to make room for medical. Contestants were supposed to receive medication on Thursday morning/midday. The challenge began at around 5 a.m. Friday due to lack of coordination. Medication still had not been delivered to contestants until 4 p.m. on Friday. Contestants slept on the ground with sleeping bags. We have heard similar reports from various sources about the sleeping arrangements at Allegiant Stadium. Contestants who were in all 3 phases of elimination slept 2 nights in sleeping bags on the field. One commenter says, all challenges were skewed to favor young athletic men despite being presented differently. It was said multiple times before all challenges that safety was a top concern and would be taken seriously by production, and that there would be no tolerance of pushing, shoving, or tackling, basically any sort of assault or battery from contestants onto contestants. So that was the standard that they set, and none of that was enforced. The contestant that committed said acts were not eliminated or even disciplined. Another commenter said, each challenge catered to strong men who bullied female and elderly contestants and ultimately took away any fair chance of a competition. I have always been a fan of MrBeast. I believe in the causes he donates to and all the good he has done, but in a world where women's rights are literally being threatened, I'm disappointed that he would spearhead a show that encourages such toxic masculinity. Fair point, girl. A separate commenter says, treated everyone like animals and a lot of people were mentally and physically abused. They denied people meals and they wouldn't feed them for hours, 10 plus hours. Women were bleeding through their clothes. I heard multiple people had seizures and they denied medically necessary medication to contestants, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So that was a lot, but of course there's more. Many contestants have come forward to share their story, obviously the ones through this article, but this woman actually shared her experience publicly.
So today is the first morning, I guess it's afternoon now, that I've experienced since being eliminated from the new MrBeast game challenge. They eliminated 400 people the first day. Those 400 people, the majority of them were forced by the other team members to be on the specific team they were. Some were just about physically assaulted to be put onto one team, which ended up making it the weakest team, since it was a lot of elderly people and petite women and people that just, they weren't willing to take on 6 guys that were surrounding them trying to take their vest so that they can actually be on that team. Then they have you sign some paperwork where they tell you that they're going to send you the money at a later point in time. For me, it was supposed to be $1,000. That's nothing. $1,000 for everything that we'd gone through. And it takes 4 months. It was going to take 4 months to get to me. As MrBeast and his staff knew that I was homeless and had nothing when I went on the show. And I had to buy stuff for wardrobe to be on the show. I did everything that I could to try and be able to stay on the show as long as I could. And then the people on the show, had such a hard time getting their medication. Some of it was epileptic medication, really vital, necessary medication. I know for me, every time I went to go and try and get my medication, I would have trouble as well. I take my medication more than once in a day. And so when I'd come back, a second time or a third time, she would get irritated with me because I already got my medication. So it is, there's a lot to say about it. A lot to say about the show. It was not what I was expecting.
That's obviously not the whole video. I have cut it up because this is already just so much to put in. I will link her TikTok below if you'd like to watch it. And I know that there's absolutely going to be people out there that don't fucking believe this woman, but there are hundreds of accounts and people saying the exact same fucking thing. Rosanna Pancino, another famous YouTuber, you might know her from her Nerdy Nummies series, has received, as of today, hundreds of accounts from contestants on the show, and she has used her platform to spread awareness about this.
Hey guys, so it is time for a video because I have received messages from over a dozen people involved with the current Beast Games. For those of you who don't know, Beast Games is a competition show ran by MrBeast that will be on Amazon Prime. On to the messages. So the messages that I have received from contestants on the show are pretty much all telling a similar story, and I find them to be very disturbing. Some of the messages are from people who have competed and they've been eliminated. Some of the messages are from people who are still competing, and some of them are from people that I personally know who are involved on the show and still still doing so. These people are genuinely upset about how things are going. They're scared for not only their own safety, but the safety of their friends who are still competing. They aren't doing this out of spite. They're doing this because they are afraid for themselves and for their friends. As of right now, I have 10 stories from 10 different people, and none of them have shared their stories with each other, and I will be talking more about them in the future. I have personally worked in entertainment and on sets for almost 2 decades, and what is going on here is beyond disgusting and extremely dangerous. I wanted to read you one of the messages with the permission of one of the contestants to give you an idea of why I'm so upset and why I simply just can't let this go. It's absolutely not okay. So I'm going to read to you her message. I was a contestant until the end. I also didn't accept their hush money. It was really bad. People were having seizures because they were not getting medication, even though we were promised we would. And it was 100% rigged. They presented it as though the game would be like Squid Games, basically a type of game show where all the games are an even playing field. That was not at all the case. All the games were about speed and strength, so only the young athletic males were at an advantage over the women, and elderly people were also casted. To make things worse, men started realizing that they could take out the women without being eliminated. Guys started tackling and hitting women. 2 girls were tackled and passed out on the field and were dragged off to continue filming. I saw people with broken bones, stitches, etc., and most were women. We were given maybe 400 calories a meal and only fed every 12 hours. Food would run out and people would fight over, steal, and hoard food. Water was scarce and kept running out as well. I had to sit with a bloody pad for 2 days before I could get undergarments and my reusable pads because I'm allergic to regular pads. We were also sleep deprived, only allowed 3 to 4 hours. We all slept on the floor in the stadium in a $10 sleeping bag. I get that people saying it's a game show and it's not meant to be easy. I'm not saying it should be easy, but it was presented like Squid Games, where competitions were not biased and didn't exclusively cater to young athletic men. People who went signed up for Squid Games, not for American Ninja Warrior and Survivor. Why else would they cast elderly people on the show? They offered anyone who lost $1,000 to sign away their rights to join any kind of class action lawsuit of any kind. I didn't sign, so I didn't get the money. After this article came out and things started blowing up, they called everyone back and decided to offer an additional $1,000 per person to make up for any of the inconveniences. They knew it was bad because they also offered to provide therapy through their insurance, and it wasn't Amazon Prime that called me, it was MrBeast's crew. We were set up to fail. And when the men started tackling people to get them out, nothing was done about it. They were not even eliminated. The game that had to do with the briefcase, it felt literally like Hunger Games. While MrBeast is standing on his podium, looking down, watching all of us peasants fight for a chance at 5 million. I know it's a game show, and I know it's not meant to be easy, but even with a waiver, it is a company's responsibility to have safety protocols in place to try to prevent injuries. That is not what was happening here. The fact that the nurses at the hospital in Las Vegas are also confirming all of the injuries that happened is proof. They did not have to sign an NDA. I'm getting still hundreds of messages a day, and I'm trying to do my best to sort through them, but I am dyslexic, so I read a little slower. So just know that if you've sent me a message, I have seen it, and if I haven't responded to you yet, I apologize. I'm trying my best to get to everyone, and I'm just getting a lot of information and sorting it and researching it, and so just thank you for all of that. But I wanted to make a really quick video because I just received a very interesting email that I wanted to share with you. As I mentioned before, I'm in touch with crew members and people working on Beast Games. I've also been in contact with the people who are the IOAI union, both in Las Vegas, where the first week of shooting happened, as well in Canada, where the next round will be shooting. For those of you who don't know what IOAI is, it's spelled IATSE, and basically they are the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, and they represent the people behind the scenes who make TV shows and movies. They have over 168,000 members, and pretty much every large set I've ever been on, it's IOAI crews. A higher up in the industry who I trust more than anything, literally you guys, I trust him with my life, and I know that sounds dramatic, but that's truly how I feel about this person. They said that Jimmy and his team specifically requested that Beast Games be non-union. This is for a few reasons. Mainly so Jimmy wouldn't have to pay the crew benefits, but also these unions require very strict safety guidelines. From what I'm hearing as well, MrBeast's team was in charge of hiring the crew, and they couldn't find enough non-union people to hire, so they were forced to hire union members. The MrBeast team still said they would not pay anyone's benefits. So the email I want to read for you today was sent out by a branch of IOAI to its members in Canada, which is where the next leg of Beast Games is to be filmed. It states the following. I'm going to be reading off the phone. Dear members of IOAI, MrBeast, parentheses, Beast Games, aka Project Greenlight, has been deemed an unfair production. As per Section 12 of the Constitution and bylaws, parentheses see below, no member of IOAI is permitted to work on this production. Now this is Section 12 unfair job. No member of local shall work on any job that is declared unfair. For the purpose of these bylaws, any motion picture work taking place within the jurisdiction of IOAI that is not taking place under a signed collective agreement or letter of understanding with a local shall be considered unfair. A member refusing to leave a job declared unfair or which falls under the definition contained herein shall be expelled from the membership. So at a bare minimum, this shows that Jimmy never planned to make Beast Games a union show. In my opinion, and from the stories that I've heard, Jimmy pays very little and did not want to cover people's benefits. Amazon gave Jimmy $100 million to make this game show. That is plenty of money to make a safe show. And I want to know, where's the money going? Like, where is the money going? It's not going to pay for the crew and their benefits. It's not going for safety protocol. It's not going to quality food. And it's just interesting to me that someone who claims that they want to give back and they care about people doesn't seem to do it when the cameras aren't rolling.
Well, like, seriously though, is this the fucking Hunger Games? Because at least the tributes got good beds and as much food as they wanted beforehand before they attacked each other, and at least they were all like similar ages. This is fucking barbarity. And for any of you fucking scumbags that are gonna be like, it was a game show, I don't know why people are whining, it's supposed to be hard. There's a big difference between making a game difficult and denying people's basic requirements to live because you were fucking disorganized. From what I understand, being forced to hoard food was not like a challenge or a way for people to advance themselves in the games. It was necessary because MrBeast and his team were unprepared for the scale of this operation. Being forced to live without your medication was not going to get you to the next round. It was putting people's actual lives in jeopardy. People were having seizures, guys. Multiple people. Even on Survivor, you get clean pads. You get medication as long as it's not fucking steroids. That poor woman had to wear the same pad for 2 days. You can get a fucking vaginal infection by doing that. A vaginal infection that, by the way, you would need medication for. Oh my god. If MrBeast is denying the basic needs that even a show like Survivor provides, that's not being hardcore. That's just being a fucking piece of shit. And regardless, many contestants said they were assured that they would get their medication. They were told to bring 5 days worth, and the fact that they didn't get it immediately puts MrBeast in the wrong. I don't care what you think, that is wrong. Because he lied. He denied them what he promised would be provided. Hire a fucking production manager, I don't know. Also, do we really think that there would be this many people speaking out if nothing was wrong? It's no secret that MrBeast's audience is essentially an internet hit squad, and going up against someone whose reputation has been generally very positive and praised for years would be an uphill battle in itself. And that person speaking out against him would inevitably face horrible backlash, whether they were telling the truth or not. People lie for attention online all the time, sure, but going against the most subscribed person on YouTube, that's more than a choice. It's fucking scary. So why take the risk? Because from what I understand, only one of these contestants have given their names. They're not trying to capitalize off of this or jumpstart a career. That one woman is the only person who has even shown her face. And what about the nurses at these hospitals? What do they have to gain from lying? You can only smoke so much copium, my man. I did think that this topic was incredibly severe, and it was the newest, so I wanted to cover it first. But there's been so much more that has come out, completely unrelated to these games, so we're going to cover these other allegations briefly before I get to my final thoughts. For anyone unaware of the Ava Chris Tyson situation, one of Jimmy's friends and now former employees, Ava Chris Tyson, was copying inappropriate with minors in Discord. I have a few videos linked below that talk about this further and that really deep dive into it, but yeah, as expected, it's fucking bad. Adding again to the long list of groomers and child predators that are massive YouTubers. Terrifying. But the real kicker is, MrBeast was also seen in these servers with Ava Chris Tyson alongside minors saying inappropriate things. The Discord account in these screen captures is linked to his official YouTube channel, the MrBeast YouTube channel, which you can only do if you have the login information for both the Discord and the YouTube channel. The verified MrBeast Discord that was linked to his actual channel was found in these chats as well.
It gets really bad when you realize that MrBeast was also in the server sending messages. MrBeast and Chris Tyson Discord links, MrBeast allegedly complimenting Chris Tyson's PP size and Chris's Discord server with minors. No, he's not. His PP isn't big enough. I know. MrBeast, this is the actual MrBeast. No, I know his PP size and it's huge. Beast, are you gay the moment you, okay? I'll deep throat Chris PP. Haha, MrBeast joins in to comment on my PP size. I love it. And that's Chris. Vindication, Jake Franklin, Jake the Viking, also tweeted out saying Jimmy knew. And then he says, I called it because these texts have been revealed. And it has been confirmed that it is actually MrBeast. It has been linked to his official account, as I mentioned.
Which means this statement that he put out regarding removing his friend from the company was a lie. He, in fact, had not, quote, just become aware of these serious allegations in the past few days. He had a front row seat while it was happening. I'm so glad there's an independent investigator that you're paying for to look into this. I wonder what they'll find. Probably nothing, or at least nothing that makes you look bad. This is also, because there's more, this is also on the heels of a former MrBeast employee exposing him for faking the majority, if not all, of his competition content. Rigging the competition so his closest friends or the most popular YouTubers would be the winners, instead of the actual winners. This includes adding in fake timers, purposefully eliminating people that he didn't want to progress, making the competitions easier for some than it is for others, and bringing into question the legitimacy of everything he's ever posted in that format. His former employee also exposed that MrBeast's lotteries that he primarily markets to children are never honored, which is illegal on top of being morally and ethically wrong. This creator also talked about how MrBeast is selling fake signatures, having them signed by some of his employees, and bringing into question every single piece of autographed merch he has ever sold. Also lying about his chocolate being a health product, even though it has more sugar in it than Hershey's, along with a bunch of other shady shit. But those were the big ones. I'm going to link the full video below. It is an hour, but that's really just because it's thorough and provides a lot of evidence. I highly recommend you watch it. Now, on to my thoughts. Boy, was it a journey getting here. I've never heard of a creator being hit with this many controversies that are so serious and so close together. I mean, even Logan and Jake Paul had like a few months between each of their scandals. And I would love to see Jimmy face some consequences for this. Absolutely. Not because I'm a frigid bitch, but because I fucking believe in justice. And in the online space, the court of public opinion is how we enact justice. We give these influencers power, and we can and we will take it away when they abuse it. That is the way. It is democratic. It gives agency to us. You do not owe these influencers loyalty. They are the only ones that benefit from it. If you die tomorrow, God forbid, MrBeast is not going to take care of your family. So why the fuck are you going to bat for him on Twitter? There's been so much evidence put forward about his problematic, unethical, and dangerous behavior, and yet I still worry that this man is just simply too big to fail. That he will continue to make videos as if nothing happened, that his bottom line will not be affected, and that he will continue to exploit people in the future. He has a large enough fan base that even if 1% of his following still trusts him, he will be able to thrive online. And that is why it's important to keep pressure on these big figures like Cody Ko, like MrBeast, and hold them accountable for their bad behavior. Don't watch his stuff. Support smaller creators that are more in touch with regular people. I have some of my favorites linked below. Support women, support people of color, support people in the LGBTQ community, support disabled creators. Marginalized groups struggle to break into spaces that are already dominated by straight white men. Like Jimmy. I checked his social blade this morning. Even after some of these controversies have been out for weeks, his analytics are completely unaffected. But I don't want anyone to feel hopeless. Keep the pressure on, keep talking about it, keep spreading awareness, and thank you for being here with me today. As always, I have Rowan's GoFundMe linked below. She was supposed to attend university this year, but Israel bombed her school and her home out of existence. If you're not able to donate, make sure to leave a like and a comment to boost the algorithm, because there's got to be someone on this godforsaken app that can give $1 or $2. I'm currently running a D&D campaign where all the ad revenue goes to Palestinian families, so by literally watching D&D, you are helping families in Palestine. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye.